Hi, it's teacher Helene again. I um, realized I made a mistake in my presentation yesterday, so I just want to correct that. Um, my Somali Bantu students are already refugees, so I just assumed that you were refugees also. I'm going to tell you, and this way your translator can understand it. Um, so, and because there's been a recent Supreme Court decision, I'm going to go into that in more detail. This is just kind of like, there's so much news about refugees these days, and I want you to have the most current amount of information. And I know this explanation is difficult, even to a translator who's going to be translating it to you. But I do want you to understand this part. And I'm used to, with my Somali students, just doing up current events about refugees, about them. So this is also, it could be just for my Somali students, but I would like to explain. So, what are you? Okay, if you are a refugee, and I know my Somali students are, that means that you were pre-cleared to come to the United States in your home country. So there were no questions of you, and a determination under U.S. law and UN policy was already made, and you came here as refugees. I wanted to know more about my Congolese students, of course, and I remembered I had read some articles when you first came over, so I went back to the Buffalo News, and I realized that some of you, or maybe all of you, are asylum seekers. So I just want to explain the difference. And again, if this is too hard for anyone, or a group doesn't want any current events, they just want to learn the flashcards or whatever, it's fine, just tell me that. Anyway, so an asylum seeker comes here, and I know your group has been a determination that you're likely to be granted asylum, which will mean you are a refugee. What happens with asylum seekers that allows them to become refugees? Under the Constitution, as soon as you arrive in this country, you have something called procedural due process. That is a fancy way of saying you get to present at a hearing, you get notice of that hearing, and an opportunity to be heard. But that hearing may be very far from now, and you'll have to work, and you'll be starting your life as a person in the United States, and when your hearing comes, you will have to prove that you are indeed an asylum seeker, and then you will become a refugee. Okay, so to become an asylum seeker, I said you got notice and an opportunity to be heard. Okay, now what happens if you're doing your interview and it is found you are primarily in this country for economic interests? In that case, you just came here to earn money and you sent it back to your family for 3 years or however long it takes to get you to the hearing. And unfortunately, those are the type of people that the United States deports. If you are a political refugee, and this is even more changed under the Trump administration, because you have to be shown that you were persecuted in your home country. Trump has defined that even more narrowly. I mean, it's not just persecution, it's persecution from who? You need a really good explanation at your hearing of why you are in this country. Okay, and then I'm going to explain another reason why I wanted to provide the new information, and that is this. Please ignore this. This was for me, and that was a decision of the Supreme Court that I referred to. What happened was an asylum seeker was at his hearing, but got a negative determination, and he wanted to appeal that somehow. So he appealed it. I'm a lawyer, so I know, too much in terms of what you need to know. So he appealed it via something that's known as habeas corpus, which basically means produce the body. The Supreme Court said that is not a way to appeal an asylum hearing, and the conservative justices, or the conservative justice who wrote it, even added a little sarcasm. Habeas corpus means produce the body. The conservative judges said, great, we can produce the body. We don't have any problem with that. We're just going to deport you. So, unfortunately, although there were, more distinctions in the decision, unfortunately, the court did decide that that was an inappropriate way to appeal. The question is, I would ask, as a lawyer, is that are you always precluded from appealing not a bad asylum, yes, okay, a bad asylum outcome, and where do you go? But that's a question that I have not for you to worry about. Okay, so I figured I had talked to you the other day a couple of things, and I just want to make sure this board is for everyone. This board is for somebody who's almost ready to take their test. This board is for somebody who cannot even pronounce the alphabet. That's the only reason why this looks complicated, is you can do whatever you want from this board. So I'm trying to lecture to people who may not even understand the sounds of the alphabet, to people who already speak English, and it may be really easy for them to go into their interview. Okay, so I'm going to explain the letters. They will always be here. I'm not going to erase this part of the board, so I'll just say the alphabet. If a translator wants me to sound out the letters or use examples, again, that's fine. I can do that. My mom was a teacher and, fairly schooled on this. So, if that's where you are, that's where you are. But just, this is how the letters of the alphabet are written, in uppercase, which is this first one, and lowercase, which is the second one. The uppercase will begin a sentence, and the lowercase will be what you use until you come to another sentence where you would begin it again with the capital letter. So this is a capital A and a small a, and sometimes the pronunciation, you could say A, you can say ah. So sometimes the pronunciation could be a little different, but basically, so like I said, I'm just going to read. So the alphabet, the English alphabet is said this way: A, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. And again, I will clearly do a sound out the words in my next lesson if that's what you want. I will always have this written for you to look at, so I'm not trying to make this class complicated. I'm just trying to see if I can incorporate a lesson for both groups at the same time, for the Somali group and for the Congolese group. Okay, so we're gonna review what we did when I last recorded. I think it was before Independence Day. So we're just going to review, and we talked about first person singular. So we talked about when I'm using the singular tense, I am saying things about me and only me. So I am a U.S. citizen. I am a teacher. I am a representative of my voting district. Okay, lots of words, I know, but just to see that it's I am, and that's how that sentence is written. And again, you don't have to know what I am even saying. If you want to, you can just copy the words on the board. I want to make this as broad as possible. Okay, so what you would say about yourself: I am a U.S. citizen. What you would say about people who are more than you, so I could say my family collectively, we are U.S. citizens. That means everyone in my family is a U.S. citizen. We are U.S. citizens, and then the noun here, citizens, gets put in the plural, or you add it because there's more than one. Okay, so then we're going to do, okay, and then we did, he is a U.S. citizen. So if I use my kid's name, so I could say Benjamin is a U.S. citizen. Michael is a U.S. citizen. But I cannot say they is. That's improper English. So the sentence changes. So it is now, they are U.S. citizens. See, both of them together means the plural. So they are U.S. citizens. And again, this will also be complicated. What do you do if the singular and plural are the same? So we could have the sentence, you, Benjamin, are a U.S. citizen, and we're using the verb. There is no you is. That's not English grammar. You will just have to learn that for that tense, whether you're addressing one person or many, the verb is going to stay the same. So again, you are now, hey, my whole family, we're all citizens. So you are U.S. citizens, that's the plural, everybody together. And we're still using the are, and citizen is a noun. So we'll talk about how we add an S mostly if we're making something plural at the end of a noun. Believe me, we'll get there slowly but surely. Okay, so you could go back for one more sentence, and that is, I am an asylum seeker. And then you would be just talking about yourself. If you were talking about yourselves as a group, we could say, we are asylum seekers, and then we will put the S in the end. Or you can say, my Somali students can say, I am a green card holder. So that's just a way to speak to both groups. Okay. Also, I wanted to just give a tiny bit of context, especially for my Somali students who are used to a little bit of that. So this sentence says, and again, just hear me speak. That's why these are being recorded. The 4th of July is Independence Day. Okay, so the 4th was yesterday. It is when we got our freedom from England or Great Britain. They're both acceptable answers. When you're asked that question, the question is in the book. So the 4th of July is Independence Day, and that's the day we got our independence from Great Britain or England. I say England, but say either. Okay, so what I want to do, and my Somali students are already up to questions 8 and 9. I think maybe they're even past it a little bit at 10 and 11. But I'm going to ask them once again to look at those questions. And since those questions are presented to you orally, the way I am speaking to you now, you don't have to worry about spelling or anything. So let's go to question 8, and we're in our book. And question 8 says, what did the Declaration of Independence do? Okay, and you can say it in a variety of ways. I'm only going to say one of the answers so you can get used to it faster. So what did the Declaration of Independence do? It declared our independence from Great Britain or from England. So declared our independence. Okay, and then we'll, and that happened, the Declaration of Independence was written in 1776. So, okay, now, what did it say? So what are 2 rights of the Declaration of Independence? And in the voluminous document that it is, it says that every individual should have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All are correct then, you have to pick 2. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So it was good that we could do these questions since the 4th of July for me just passed, And actually, that sentence could be Independence Day is the 4th of July, or the 4th of July is Independence Day. Okay, and we did the 2 civics questions. I might be trying to teach too much. I might have to do more than one tape. Obviously, this is the longest one I've done. Again, please tell me what your refugees, your group of refugees want. And, you know, I am willing to help as much as I can through the board or simultaneous translation or however I can. Okay, so again, thanks, and I'll see you next class.